I've heard so many people complain, like they go to a hotel, they go to check out, and there's $500 in stupid fees on their bills. Like resort fees and parking fees and this fee and that fee.
$500 in stupid fees. Quote by Rick Harrison, star of the show Pawn Stars, as just said for the feelings of millions of tourists when coming to Las Vegas in 2025. No longer talking about antiques or gold or silver, Harrison now speaks out about another precious hidden fees that are eroding the pockets and trust of the people here. The city, once hailed as a paradise of liberality where anyone can find joy, now makes visitors feel cheated from the moment they step foot in the hotel. From resort fees to parking fees, from early check-in to convenience charge, every little detail becomes a sophisticated financial trap. A room listed for $99 can turn into $400, even $500 when it's time to pay. Rick Harrison is not the first person to complain, but is the rare person who dares to say directly to television, Vegas's unreasonable fees are pissing people off. When the city that once symbolized the American dream gradually became a symbol of greed, will Vegas still be a place for people to find joy again? Or has it turned into a giant casino where trust itself is also brought out? Trade? In today's video, we're going to peel off the dark side of the hidden fees that are causing Las Vegas to lose its soul, and see how an entertainment paradise that once brought joy to all is now becomes a financial nightmare for residents and tourists. Conspiracy theories have been coined to explain Vegas's price rush and disorientation. And one of the reasons is the aftershocks since the post-pandemic years, when this city fell into a crisis that many people call post-COVID disease. Harrison, a person born and associated with Las Vegas all his life, the living symbol of this city, said frankly, "First of all, that is the echoes of COVID. At that time, money poured in loudly. Everyone earns a lot, and then it all disappeared." That statement may sound reasonable, but clearly it's not enough to explain the fact that a $200 night off can now cost nearly $500 for unnamed fees. And so, the story of Vegas's expensiveness became an issue on the debate table for dissection. Because behind the sparkling lights is a sophisticated payment mechanism that even people here have to shake their heads tiredly. In the complex structure of the Vegas bill has everything. Mandatory resort fees, even if guests have never set foot in the pool. Parking fees, even if no one drives. Utility fees for water, coffee, even the refrigerator is not in use. Many visitors recounted that the moment they had to withdraw their credit card to pay for 2 burgers was the feeling that would never forget in their entire life. There was no more pure joy. Only the feeling of being cheated in broad daylight remained. The feeling that they had just taken a gamble without placing a bet. And even though they had not lost money on the card table, they still left empty-handed. On social media and in local reports, complaints appear everywhere. People talk about arm-length bills, about tiny but piled-up fees, utility fees, service fees, resort fees, facility fees, enough to make a vacation. Short days turn into bitterness that is hard to swallow. Rick Harrison, who was born and has been involved with this city all his life, said bluntly, "This is no longer a matter of price. This is the loss of control of a system dominated by greed." He calls them stupid fees, and it's hard to refute, because as many people share, no one knows what they are paying for, other than the feeling of having their beliefs swapped and cheated. Every small fee line is now not just a number, but a crack in the wall of trust that once made up the relationship between Vegas and its visitors. That indignation was widespread, smoldering but profound. Vegas, where once remembered for its generosity and smile, is now associated with the feeling of being intentionally pickpocketed by affitso. The city that once helped people forget reality, enjoy the feeling of freedom and be true to themselves, now draws them back to a reality that is more cruel than ever. The people who once made up the soul of middle-class Vegas, the familiar guests, those who believe in the city of opportunity, are gradually leaving. Instead, there is skepticism. Is there anything left in Vegas other than light and surcharges? Sleepless City probably no longer represents all-night fun, but because people stay awake, counting every line of expenses on the hotel bill. And that's probably Vegas's biggest tragedy. A city that once captivated people with fantasy now wakes them up with numbers. The escalation of hidden fees in Las Vegas is not an accident or a temporary trend. It is the product of a decades-long process of commercialization, where the spirit of hospitality is gradually replaced by cold balance sheets. Everything started when large financial corporations took over hotels that were once managed by local families. From there, the goal of serving customers is replaced by the phrase optimizing revenue. Free buffets, bonus parking, or staff remembering patron names were all wiped out, giving way to a series of small but dense supplements. According to observers, Station Casinos was the first to break that line when it adopted resort fee in 2004. Ironically, this is the casino that serves the locals, and it was that betrayed its community first. By 2008, MGM joined in, and in 2010, in an effort to attract customers, Caesars Entertainment also launched the advertising campaign No Resort Fees Zone with model Holly Madison. But then 3 years later, they themselves surrendered with the humorous justification that customers like to include package prices. A local writer sarcastically wrote, "No one ever said, I want to pay extra for Wi-Fi that should be free, the gym I never use, and the newspaper I don't need to read." Yet corporations still say it naturally, as if it were right. From there, obsession to fees began to spread. Hotels no longer honestly say the price is $200 a night, but advertise $75, then add $50 resort fee, $25 parking fee, $60 early check-in fee. At Bellagio, people even charge extra if customers want to use ceramic plates instead of paper plates when calling room service. This situation became so serious that the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, was forced to intervene, requiring hotels to display real total prices from the start. Think about it. The government has to force Vegas to stop lying to customers about room prices. And that's not the end. Want to check in early at Flamingo? $60. Want real knives and forks at Bellagio? Extra charge. Parking, $20–40 per night. Want to use the swimming pool? Even if you pay resort fee? Sorry, Cabana rental starts at $100. All this is in stark contrast to Vegas of the 70s, 80s, or even 90s, when this city was a symbol of the popular American dream. At that time, a worker can take his wife on a weekend getaway, eat a 99-cent breakfast buffet, enjoy prime ribs and crabs at Holiday Casino for only $3.99, and the dealer remembers your name not because of the membership system, but because of genuine kindness. That day, casinos make money when you play, not when you walk in the door. And it is that difference that gives weight to the criticism of Rick Harrison, founder of the Pawn Stars program. His family business has been growing steadily for 37 years because he understands what many Vegas corporations have forgotten. Treat customers kindly, they will come back. From the original idea of earning a little more, Vegas has formed the habit of earning more than, without returning adequate value. The city, once built on a spirit of freedom and experience, is now driven by a short-term financial model. Each new revenue becomes a brick in the wall of greed. And today, it is Vegas who is trapped inside the cage it built. On the surface, Vegas' tourism economy still seems prosperous. But inside, a platform is gradually rotting. Because when a city is run with greed, sooner or later it will lose its soul. Las Vegas is entering a phase that analysts call confidence decline. It's no longer a subjective feeling, but the truth measured in Numbers, and those numbers are exposing a cold reality. Vegas's money printers have slowed down. Reports from travel agencies show that Vegas arrivals have plunged back to back in the first half of 2025, marking the sharpest decline since the pandemic. Sales of rooms, restaurants and casinos have all slipped, although the city still strives to maintain a vibrant image 24/7 with high-caliber events, F1 races, top star shows, or international exhibitions. However, under the bright light of those performances, the actual revenue could not hide the decline. Even Harry Reid International Airport, which is considered Vegas's money link, has recorded a decline in commercial flights. Fewer flights mean fewer visitors, and fewer visitors means the city's economic gears are slowing down. Meanwhile, the cost of living, services, and local taxes are still escalating, making Vegas residents themselves feel alienated from the city they once called house. Downtown areas off the Strip, once crowded with guests, are now empty. A series of restaurants, shops, and even small casinos have to operate moderately or temporarily close, when the number of customers is not enough to compensate for operating costs. A waiter said sadly, "This city has never been so quiet since 2020. Every street used to laugh, now only the air conditioning and the Felice sign flashing at night." Analysts call this experience bubble effect. When businesses focus on selling lavish illusions instead of real value, customers will pay just once. And now, that cycle is in reverse. Tourists leave, investors are wary, and residents gradually lose hope. While the government remains optimistic about its recovery momentum in 2026, the numbers tell a different story. The story of a city that is losing vitality in arguably its most prosperous period. The charts are becoming a mirror of Vegas's morality. Because when greed is seen as a development strategy, the decline in revenue is not just a financial crisis, but a systemic punishment. An economy built on lies and hidden fees will eventually cost, not with money, but with people leaving, trust disappearing, and light becoming meaningless. Perhaps the numbers don't lie. They're just doing what Vegas used to be the best at, exposing the fantasy. And this time, that fantasy no longer brings laughter, but the terrifying silence of a city that once never slept. Once upon a time, Las Vegas was run by pit bosses who didn't need an MBA but understood customers better than anyone. They know when players need a break, when to send a glass of water, and when it's just a joke to make the loser feel like they're still lucky. They manage not with spreadsheets, but with intuitive. That is born from empathy and experience. For them, Vegas is not just a place to make money, but a stage of emotions where every human being is treated like a real guest. But that period is over. Now Vegas's power lies in the hands of bean counters, financial administrators who graduated from prestigious business schools, speak the language of profit margins and balance sheets fluently, but never ever step foot in a real casino. They don't see players, only see average spend index. Don't hear laughter, just hear credit card scanners. And since they took power, Vegas has no longer been run as a city, but as a revenue production line. Guests entering the hotel no longer meet smiling staff, but an automatic check-in kiosk. Friendly chat replaced by promotional screen, tip 25%. When they left, there were no more greetings, just an automatic email asking, "How many stars do you score for your experience?" Vegas has automated to the point of losing what makes it different: human touch. The MBA managers can call it effective, but this effect is suffocating the soul of the city. Everything is measured by index, from revenue per guest to minutes per transaction. In that logic, joy is no longer an emotion, but a business data. The more accurate the system, the more redundant people become. Vegas, once the symbol of human touch, has now become a mass emotional production line where jubilation is standardized and happiness is price labeled. And as a bitter paradox, the very city that was built from emotion is disintegrating because of the numbers it worships. When pit bosses is replaced by bean counters, Vegas loses its soul without realizing it. It was still lit, still noisy, but life had long since left that light. Vegas doesn't collapse in silence. It is collapsing in the keyboard tapping of MBA administrators who have forgotten that casinos only make sense when people are still happy. After months of consecutive declines in visitor numbers and revenue, Las Vegas is finally facing the consequences of the price whirlwind it created. The city that once believed that no one could refuse Vegas is now forced to accept a cold reality. One can love Vegas, but no one likes to be taken advantage of. The lavish promotional campaigns are no longer enough to obscure the fact that the belief that is an intangible asset that once made city attractive is disintegrating. And this time, it's not the pandemic, it's not the global crisis, it's the intrinsic greed that's making the sleepless city bow. In that context, large corporations began to change direction. Some hotels and resorts temporarily reduce or stop collecting resort fee, launches a series of incentives, room discounts, and service packages that are more customer-friendly. But according to many experts, this is just an emergency response, not an awakening. And yes, customer silence is the biggest boycott. No banners, no criticism, just empty seats, unpaid bills, and no return flights. Meanwhile, in areas outside the Strip, where small businesses remain at reasonable prices and honest service attitudes, a new form of recovery is taking shape. Tourists choose smaller, less flashy, but more humane locations. The wave of leaving Strip is now not just a new travel trend, but a moral warning. It says that every business model based on greed has an expiration date. Vegas, the city that once boasted generosity and cloning, is having to relearn the marketplace's most elementary lesson. When trust is lost, no one, no matter how big, can be exempt. After a revenue shock and an unprecedented decline in confidence, Las Vegas is at a fateful crossroads. The city once known as the capital of joy is now forced to face the life and death question. Will it continue to harness the trust of visitors or learn to regain it? Those two paths not only reflect business choices, but are also a moral test for an entire culture once built on generosity and opportunity. The first path, which many corporations are holding on to, is the strategy that maximizes fees. A model that sees customers as sources of financial exploitation, not people. Resort fee, parking fee, service surcharge, facility maintenance fee are all legalized in sophisticated financial language. At the accounting level, it generates steady revenue. At the social level, it sows the seeds of resentment. Each bill becomes proof that Vegas is collecting money not only for the service, but also for the illusion of fun. That strategy, short-term but cruel, is causing the city to lose something that cannot be valued: trust. The second path, harder but more sustainable, is to return to the principles that once made Vegas love transparency, fairness, and true emotions. It's the Vegas of the 70s, where workers can take their wives on weekends, eat a 99-cent buffet, and feel like millionaires overnight. The city, then, needs no tricks. Just smiles, decent service, and real joy. A city lives by human experience, not by spreadsheets. Therefore, the Vegas story is no longer an economic issue, but a moral test. It raises questions for everyone running this city. Do we dare to admit that we have gone too far? Would we dare to choose the path that once made Vegas loved? Not because of luxury, but because of people. Because only when we look back do Vegas realize that light cannot save a city if it is no longer warm. Trust cannot be recreated by promotion, and reputation cannot be bought by advertising. Will Las Vegas be brave enough to turn, or will it continue to rush straight into the cliff it built? While giant corporations on the Strip are struggling between falling revenue, hidden fees, and a wave of tourist discontent, in a small, little-noticed corner of Las Vegas, there are still small businesses quietly exist, not thanks to marketing tricks, but thanks to trust. One of them is the pawn shop of Rick Harrison, who appeared on Pawn Stars. Amid a forest of neon signs and lavish towers, his small pawn shop is like a slice upstream. No flashiness, no ostentatious advertising, only real people-to-people deals. While Vegas is turning into a symbol of illusion inflated by tricks, that shop reminds people that honesty is still valuable. There, everything is simple. No resort fee, no service fee, ambiguous, no price list optimized to extort more coins from customers. Every item, every negotiation takes place openly and transparently, like a remnant of the old Vegas, of the time when this city was built not by billions of dollars or billboards, but by trust. That sentence rang out in the middle of Las Vegas today like a wake-up call. Because where almost everything has a price, truth is the rare thing that still retains its pure value. It makes people suddenly realize that the true foundation of Vegas has never been marble or neon lights, but human-to-human trust. Now that the illusions have been stripped bare and greed exposed, it is small businesses like Harrison's that are suggesting a path to recovery. Vegas doesn't need another billion-dollar promotional campaign, doesn't need a world-class show. What this city needs is simple honesty, which once made Vegas special in the hearts of Americans. A place where you can go, try your luck, and be treated fairly. Vegas has never been just a city of red and black games. It used to be a place where people believed that even for just a few days, they could live differently. Be free. To see themselves in that shimmering light. When that belief is lost, Vegas becomes an empty, flashy but lifeless shell. But if it is rebuilt, that belief can become a guiding light, leading this city out of the darkness of greed and back to the core that once made its soul. And perhaps that is the last bet of Las Vegas. A bet that does not take place on the card table, but in the hearts of every person here. Choose honesty instead of deception. Choose real values instead of illusions. Choose trust instead of indifference. No need for bright lights, no need for cheers in. Casino, just those who dare to be real, tell the truth, and believe that trust is still worth more than any number. Vegas was built on trust, and if it wants to survive, it must learn to rebuild it. It is not just a message for a city, but for an entire generation that is rediscovering the meaning of the two words trust. Las Vegas was once called the city where every dream has a price. But perhaps because he was so passionate about valuing everything, he forgot the only thing he couldn't buy: faith. Between billion-dollar buildings, flashy marketing campaigns, and billboards that promise world-class experiences, what residents and visitors are craving is simpler than ever: to be treated like people, not like numbers. Vegas can build more lavish resorts and bright casinos, but if trust is not rebuilt, all light is meaningless. Because in the end, a city is not defined by profits, but by the way it makes people feel. Vegas once made people believe that they could change their lives overnight. But now, what needs to be changed is not the for, de mal, does not the snob of fortune, but the heart of the city. Can a city built with greed be saved with honesty? And if even the Vegas, symbol of the American dream, loses its soul, then what will keep America the real thing left? If this story makes you think of another Vegas, of memory, of kindness and trust, press like, share the video, and leave a comment below. Do you believe Vegas can change? Or does every city, when it is so accustomed to light, forget how to see darkness? Let's discuss together, because only when we dare to ask questions can we find the answer to our own dreams. The entire content in this video is built on public information sources, press facts and statements confirmed by the quoted character. The purpose of the video is not to attack, attribute or represent any organization, business or individual, but only to analyze, comment on, and reflect social phenomena in an independent, objective, and academic perspective. Comments, quotes, or opinions in videos only reflect the situation at the time of recording and may change over time. Viewers are encouraged to verify the information themselves, collating various sources for a more comprehensive perspective. This video has no political purpose, does not encourage negative behavior or incitement of any kind. The author and production team are not responsible for misleading interpretations or personal inferences of third parties.